Welcome to CareyBrosPros, the podcast for construction pros by construction pros, because good information is always the best tool in the bag. Now, here are James and Morris Carey.
Good to have you checking in for this edition of CareyBrosPros. Hi, I'm James Carey, and as builders and remodelers, we respect and abide by the age-old wisdom of measure twice and cut once. Boy, I tell you what, I learned that one the hard way. Well, imagine if we could measure more accurately, have less waste, all while working faster. Wouldn't that be just phenomenal for you and your business? Well, it's possible, and our guest will tell you all about it. He is Brad Kriel. He's the CEO of Velocity Robotics, and we first met at the Remodeling Show and Deck Expo in Baltimore, and we're completely taken by his product and wanted to invite him to be a part of our podcast to share it with you. Brad, welcome to CareyBrosPros.
Thank you very much, James.
Now, you're a remodeler, right?
Well, if DIY counts, then absolutely.
Okay, sure. I mean, I didn't say you were a pro remodeler, but certainly you've gotten your hands dirty and you've done a thing or two, yes?
Absolutely.
Well, if that's the case, then you know the challenges that those of us who do pro remodeling face in terms of time limits and trying to keep things into budget. So for our friends listening who may not know about Velocity Robotics and Autoset, please share with them a little bit about Velocity Robotics and what Autoset is and how it can bring value to them and their business.
Sure thing. So Velocity Robotics was founded a couple years back in order to improve worksite productivity in construction. That's because I saw an opportunity to bring some new technology to the industry, and partially because of the experience that I had with DIY remodeling myself. And so we have, over the past couple of years, developed Autoset. And Autoset is a smart positioning system. It works for miter saws and will eventually work for table saws and tile saws and, all sorts of things, even drill presses, to give you very precise cuts and to allow you to measure and cut faster than you ever did before.
All right, we're going to, no pun intended, drill down on that. But first I want to ask you, are you a tech guy? Do you have a background? I know you mentioned you do DIY. Are you from tech? Are you from building? Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved in this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have worked for Caterpillar actually for a number of years, about 8 years. And at CAT, I was developing technology for mining equipment, those big mining trucks, big dump trucks. And the things that we were developing were helping operators run safely. So I was working on camera systems and using, all the tech that you see in the autonomous car industry. Actually, we were using that same sort of technology to help operators see around their truck and help them understand their environment better. That's the tech side of my background. And so it was in mining instead of construction, but there's a lot of similarities between the two. And when I started Velocity Robotics, especially because of my DIY work, I said, there are a lot of problems with workflow in the industry. And man, I think that, tech has come a long way, the past few years. And I think that there are some solutions that could be provided to, basically improve workflow on the job site.
So it sounds to me like you have a background in engineering.
You got it.
In spite of my brother might say, I'm not just another pretty face. So now, and I want to mention also that Velocity Robotics is not a one-trick pony, and I know that you're going to be launching more product, and we can talk a little bit about that, and we can also talk about the other products that you have available. And by the way, I want one of those T-shirts.
Very nice.
Large will work just fine. And if you should decide you want to send my brother one, he's a 2X.
You got it.
Anyway, anyway, let's digress for a moment and let's paint a picture of how the Autoset works.
So Autoset takes in measurements from either a Bluetooth laser measure or Bluetooth tape measure. It also can import a cut list, pre-existing cut list if you've got that, if you're working to a design, or you can manually enter measurements on Autoset just as easily. But once you have that cut list into Autoset, it gives you step-by-step instructions on making each cut. So say your next cut length is 42 inches and your current setting is 20. You hit the brake release button, it comes up on the screen and says, move to the left. So you move Autoset, you move the carriage to the left, and then it stops when it gets really close to that 48-inch mark, and it makes a fine adjustment, and then you just, bump your board up against the stop, you make your cut, and it's accurate to a 64th of an inch.
So let's take an example of the cutoff saw, okay? And as part of the Autoset configuration, there is a metal backplate.
Yep, we call it the rail.
Right, the rail. The metal rail, and Autoset attaches to the metal rail, and it slides along the rail left and right. So if I've put Autoset, if I have a piece of material that I need to cut 48 inches, it's going to tell me to move it to the designated location, and I'm going to guess that my cutoff saw has to be in the down position and that there is a laser that will go from the Autoset stop to the saw blade. Is that right?
Actually, that's not how it works.
Okay.
It's much more like a pair of calipers. So there's a pattern on the rail itself that the carriage is reading as it moves along the rail, and that's what gives it its very good accuracy.
I see. Okay. Then if I've cut my piece, do I then push a button for my next piece if I've imported a cut list?
Absolutely. Yeah, you hit the cut complete button, and then it loads up the next cut and tells you which way to push it for the next cut, and so on and so forth.
Now, that piece of the Autoset that the board rests against is called what?
The piece of the Autoset the board rests against is called the stop.
It's called the stop. Okay, the black stop.
Yep, you got it. The black piece, that's the stop.
And is that adjustable within the Autoset, or is that a fixed device and that the only adjustment is the Autoset along the rail?
The only adjustment that happens automatically is Autoset along the rail. However, that stop is on what we call a ram. So that it's about a 2-foot piece of aluminum that allows the stop to actually overhang the base of your saw. So it allows you to get the stop up closer to the blade than, where the Autoset rail stops.
Yes. Got it. Okay. Product in production and shipping already?
Product ships in March, and we're currently taking pre-orders.
Wow. This sounds like it's pretty pricey.
Yeah, you would think. In fact, other similar products like this that really have never been developed for this industry have really been developed more for heavy industry and manufacturing, typically start around $3,000, $4,000.
Right.
Right, exactly. And Autoset actually retails for $499. And if you pre-order, we're actually giving you a $100 discount. So right now you can get it for only $399.
Did I hear that right? $399?
You got it. $399.
Wow. And it'll be available at retail in March. Will it be specifically available online, or will it be at brick and mortar?
So currently it will be available at velocityrobotics.com. We're talking to a number of distributors right now to get it into other places, brick and mortar eventually as well. But right now you can get it at velocityrobotics.com.
Wonderful. Now, I should mention that I can spend that $100 that I'm going to be saving on an additional rail, which is about $75.
You got it.
So if
and
I'm
then you'd
cutting,
have just enough left over for a T-shirt.
yeah, that $100 will give me an additional rail at $75 and a T-shirt at $19, and I'll have money for a Starbucks still. Now we've talked about Autoset and of course the accompanying rail, and I imagine you can have multiple rails one after the other depending upon how long the material is that you're going to be cutting.
That's exactly right. You can put as many together as you need.
How long are the rails?
The rails come in 48 inches.
Okay, very good. Okay. We talked about the fact that you have lots of product that you're launching, and we'll go into that in a moment. But first, beyond the T-shirt and beyond the additional rail and the Autoset, are there other products that you currently or are offering now?
Currently, we offer the Leica Disto D2. It's a laser distance meter, and that's one of the laser measures that works in conjunction with Autoset. So you take a measurement with the Leica, and that measurement goes directly into Autoset.
Boy, that's amazing. Now, some of the electronic measuring devices will talk to CAD systems as well, so that you can now use these measuring devices where, we used to go in with the pencil and paper and a tape measure and a retractable tape measure, and we would measure an existing space, a kitchen, for example, or a bathroom, or somebody wants to add on to their home. Now you can measure the space with your smartphone, or you can use an electronic measuring device like that which you have, which is the Bluetooth laser distance meter for about $199. That's a beautiful device. Will it talk to CAD systems as well? Will it upload to a design software?
The Leica in particular, the one that we offer, has its own app available on both Android and iOS. That's a floor plan app. And so you can take measurements and then assign those measurements directly to the floor plan that you have laid out. And it has a number of other custom integrations. I couldn't name them all. You'd have to go to like a Geosystems website to find out all the different integrations. But some of those are CAD applications as well.
Wonderful. What's coming?
So we have so many different ideas for variations on Autoset that we'd like to get out there. And one of them is a tile saw variation. Another is a table saw variation. And in addition to that, because Autoset is a connected tool, and this is especially true for the bigger home builders and remodelers out there, but we can track material usage, we can track team performance, we know how many cuts are made in a given time period and who's requesting those cuts, if you're integrating with our mobile app. And because we have that data available, we can actually help you improve your supply chain. We can set up a just-in-time supply chain. So essentially, if you know how much material you start out with, we're tracking the amount of material you are using, and we know when you're running low and can alert you. And so there's a ton of features like this that we have in mind that we'd like to, be working with the industry to make sure that, they're all headed in the right direction, but that's the next step.
So you just came from the Remodeling Show and Deck Expo. I imagine you got lots of pro feedback. What are pros saying about Autoset?
So I think my favorite recent comment was that this is a game changer. This is an absolute game changer, and it's going to change the way that measuring and cutting happens on the job site. And, a lot of other guys have said things like, this is something I've been looking for a long time. Guys that are working in a shop, I've been looking for something like this for my shop for a long time. And so, there's so many applications, and there's a real need. As you said, measure twice, cut once is the oldest adage in the book, I think. And we're making it to where you don't really have to measure twice, cut once. You can actually move a lot faster and still get the same benefit.
So how do you see Autoset impacting our pro audience's profit margin, Brad?
I'll have to go back to the game changer word there. I think that, measuring and cutting errors impact so many different areas of waste in construction on the job site. You make a measuring mistake and you have to rework, you have additional scrap, and even if you're not making errors, when you're making one measurement at a time and you're walking back and forth between where your material is and where your saw is, I heard one contractor recently call that trailblazing.